Dear learners, welcome to e-learning. In this session, we will discuss about psychosocial theory of Erikson. Erikson is a German psychologist who modified the psychosocial development theory of Freud into psychosocial theory. He emphasized that ego makes a positive contribution in a development of an individual by mastering the attitudes. So this mastery helps the children to grow into a successful and contributing member of the society. So these are the stages of psychosocial development. So where you can see the developmental stages as infant, toddler, preschooler, etc. And these are the psychosocial development which occurs within an individual. So let us see one by one. The first one, it is trust versus mistrust. So this occurs as soon as birth of the child to age of 1. So where you can see that the child is entirely dependent on the mother or caretaker. So based on the love, care and warmth given by the caretaker or mother, the child develops stress. So when proper care is not being given, it leads to mistrust. The positive outcomes in this stage are where the children develop trust in relationship and they see the world as a safer place for living. The psychological conflict in this stage are they have feelings of anxiety, fear, mistrust, and the world seems to be unpredictable. And stage 2, it is autonomy versus shame or doubt. So this occurs during the early stage of childhood. So where you can see that some kind of freedom has been given by the parents to have or select their own clothes, select their toy, have food preferences and also proper toilet training. When freedom has been given by the mother or caretaker, which leads to autonomy. In case of any kind of comment which is being made, leads to shame and doubt. So the positive outcomes are where the children are being made independent, they have the freedom to make decision which increases the self-esteem. The psychological conflict in this stage are the children doubt their own capacity and abilities when they are being not properly guided. So where they have low self-esteem and feelings of shame. This is stage 3, initiative versus guilt, which occurs during the preschool years where the children are motivated or they try to learn through social interactions. When they are motivated, they try to initiate any kind of activity, and when proper guidance is not given, it leads to guilt, or if they are being punished for their activity, it leads to guilt. So the positive outcomes are where the children develop self-confidence and they feel that they have some purpose in life. And the psychological conflict or failure of this stage, it leads to feelings of guilt. This is the next stage, industry versus inferiority. So where the children are able to accept the peer group and they are able to cope up with the demands of academic situations and they develop a confidence and they walk forward. So failure of this stage leads to inferiority complex. So the positive outcomes are, so where the children are being encouraged by the parents, the children learn how to compete with others and also develop skills for success. So the psychological conflict is that, so the children develop inferiority complex. This is the next stage, identity versus confusion. This takes place during the turbulent teenage years where the child has to develop their own identity by understanding their belief and desires, and which helps to understand who they are and what they need to do. So when children is not sure about their belief and desires, they remain confused. So the positive outcomes, fidelity develops, so which is the ability of the person to live as per the society's standards and expectations. And the psychological conflict is confusion. This is the next stage, intimacy versus isolation. So this usually develops among the young adults during the early adulthood. So where they develop intimate relationship with each other, and failure of developing relationship leads to isolation. So the positive outcomes are develop close, committed and strong relationship. So in kind of any social environment, they are able to develop any kind of relationship. And this early stage of identity, the previous stage of identity also plays a role. So if they are success in the previous stage, they are able to succeed in establishing a relationship also. And the psychological conflict is they develop emotional isolation since they are not able to develop a relationship with any individual, which results in conflict and depression. So this is the next stage, generativity versus stagnation. So it usually occurs during the later adulthood. So where adults start having children and focus their life both concentrating on career as well as family. So during this stage, if they're able to success, then they develop a attitude of success, and sometimes they may feel unproductive or uninvolved, so that leads to stagnation. This is the final psychosocial stage, which is integrity versus despair. So this usually occurs during the old age. So where the old age people, they focus their life reflecting on the past. So in the past, if they're able to fulfill all their roles, then they have a sense of satisfaction or fulfillment. So in case of failure during the earlier stages where they may feel that they were unsuccessful or their life has been wasted, so this leads to feeling of bitterness or despair, and this is the final stage of psychosocial development. So learners, so far we have seen the various stages of psychosocial development. Thank you.